Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight, the Prime Minister visits the family of the 8-year-old boy killed on Monday.
Member of Parliament for Pine Ridge, Frederick McAlpine, defends his position on the Dominican immigration policy.
The Minister of Work says he doesn't believe in naming and shaming.
The Water and Sewage Corporation chairman fires back now at the Attorney General.
Is brought to you by Alive, the nation's newest and best LTE network.
Good to be alive.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Kyle Joaquin. Topping news tonight, tears flowed freely outside the Rosebud Street home of the 8-year-old boy murdered on Monday as the Prime Minister and his wife sought to comfort the child's devastated pregnant mother this afternoon. Her pain was palpable as she sat and recalled her son's final moments.
15 minutes, my baby bleed my hand. My baby gone without no water.
She's living a parent's worst nightmare. Just 3 days ago, Kendira Woodside picked up her 8-year-old son, EJ, off the floor after he was shot. A bullet not meant for him. And now she's preparing to do what no mother ever wants to: bury her child.
That's my only son. Oh God, I hope I shoot my daughter too. Oh God, and they inside with me. That's what they do to my family. They do to us.
The heartbroken mother, who is 7 months pregnant with her third child, wept uncontrollably as she had a moment with the Prime Minister's wife. The yard filled with family members and friends, all still in shock from the senseless murder of little Eugene Woodside, who was killed while doing what all parents push their kids to do: his homework. The young mother shedding tears on the Prime Minister's shoulder over the loss of her only son. The Prime Minister's wife, a mother and grandmother, shed tears herself, saying no mother should have to endure such agonizing pain.
As a mother, I'm calling upon all mothers, because I really believe that mothers can stop this. We have our sons who we cradle from birth, and as they become men, we are still with them. We have to speak to them. And I think all women should wear black one day this week and mourn what's happening in our country.
But the Prime Minister has a special relationship with many of the people who live in that yard. And OBGYN Minna says he delivered most of them.
But the message that we must send to the entire Bahamas is that the police can't fight this alone. The families and each citizen within the Commonwealth of Bahamas has a responsibility. And whatever information they have in terms of who has done this must come forth and bring that information to the police.
A candlelight vigil is being planned in honor of little EJ. In the meantime, Menace is calling on Bahamians to come together to help combat crime.
These criminals live and sleep among us, and sometimes one closes an eye to what is happening. But if they want to save this country, just like we've worked together to deal with whatever impact we may have felt with the hurricanes coming here, I think we must work together again to stop this criminal hurricane, or the hurricane of crime that's affecting our society. And only then would we be able to conquer this problem.
Pine Ridge MP Frederick McAlpine is standing by his criticisms of the government's decision to loosen its immigration rules and accept students and other Dominicans with families in the Bahamas as the country prepares to rebuild from Hurricane Maria. McAlpine pulled no punches when he was asked if he regretted anything he said in his blistering contribution last night. Here's Jasmine Brown.
McAlpine said he did not regret making those comments, as he insisted he was speaking up as a Bahamian.
Those statements were made out of my conviction and by the conviction of many Bahamians in this country who share the same views that I share. And I was in no way trying to rebut the Prime Minister or trying to attack the Prime Minister. I was simply trying to share the views of a number of persons here in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
In the House of Assembly last night, McAlpine insisted charity begins at home and ends abroad, as he insisted people in his constituency are in the same position or worse than those in Dominica. He also questioned whether the children potentially coming to the Bahamas have been immunized and if their health conditions will be known. When asked how he felt about the backlash and being labeled a racist and xenophobe by some of his critics, the Pine Ridge MP shrugged off those criticisms.
I'm not xenophobic, neither am I racist. I'm a nationalist. the Bahamas is for Bahamians. And at the end of the day, while we appreciate that in order to build this country, we're going to need people outside of the country coming to assist us, but the Bahamas was built for Bahamians. And so that's not being xenophobic. I'm just a person who loved the Bahamas and believe that Bahamians should be first priority in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. If that is wrong, if that is a sin, then I'm guilty.
The Prime Minister outlined how the government plans on relaxing its immigration policy for Dominican school children during a communication in the House yesterday. However, McAlpine says there are still too many questions that need to be answered.
I think we are quite aware and quite obvious that there are questions. I've just asked some of the most pertinent questions. Is there a cost to the Bahamian people? How many people are coming? Are these people immunized? Who's accompanying these people? This is the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, not the United Nations.
When asked if he was at odds with his party, considering he is the only F&M MP to publicly criticize the policy, McAlpine gave this response.
My party boasts about being liberal to the point that they're able to allow its members of parliament to be free. The Free National Movement was built upon democracy and being able to speak one's mind and convictions. I support the Free National Movement, but because I have, listen, let's just get practical. People live in one house and have different opinions. That doesn't mean they hate each other or they're against each other. We live in a time where people have the right to critical thinking. I'm just being critical about my thoughts. I'm also trying to be protective of the country that God has placed me in. I wasn't born in Trinidad or Dominica. I wasn't born in Haiti or the Turks and Caicos. God allowed me to be born here.
McAlpine also made it clear that he is not against helping Dominica. He says he believes that help should only be monetary. Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Well, Minister of Works Desmond Bannister says he is outraged that Bahamas Power and Light customers' private billing information was leaked to the media, telling our news this new culture of naming and shaming is disgusting. Giorgio Bain reports.
Minister of Works Desmond Bannister says he's disappointed that a list containing the names of former politicians owing utility companies thousands of dollars was leaked to the press.
This culture that we're developing of naming and shaming, I think is absolutely disgusting, quite frankly. I apologize to anyone who was named publicly. I've written to both BPL and to Water and Sewage Corporation and asked them to ensure that their data is protected, not to protect anybody, but to ensure that we do things properly.
As a practicing lawyer, Bannister says the move brings into question the role of the Data Protection Act and suggested that those persons may even decide to bring legal action against the two government entities.
There are concerns with respect to persons being able to sue the corporations for release of confidential information. But most of all, I'm concerned about basic decency in our society.
Former Attorney General Alison Maynard Gibson said Bahamians who expect privacy should be concerned and questioned whether the violation of people's private information is being encouraged.
I think it was disappointing for me to see that type of information was leaked out of Water and Sewage and also BPL. If we live in a civilized society, we have to appreciate that there are ways to do things. Sending out information in respect to people's lives is not the way to do it. If there was a list, then those persons ought to have been contacted, and arrangement ought to have been made in a civil manner for them to settle it.
Bannister was also asked to respond to the former BC Executive Chairman Leslie Miller's assertion that the list was a part of an unspoken policy he met in place since 1989. He said those days when politicians were treated like demigods are gone. Reporting for our news, I'm Giorgio Bain.
Well, Angleton MP Glennis Hanna Martin taking the government to task over its decision to sign back onto the Caribbean Catastrophe Risk Insurance Facility. While speaking in Parliament this afternoon, Hanna Martin said considering the minister's administration paid a $2.6 million premium and only got a $397,000 payout following Hurricane Irma makes it even more vexing.
They paid $2.6 million because we were stupid, dumb, and whatever for a premium, and then out of it, they got a payout of $397,590. Let me get these figures again, Mr. Speaker. We paid $2.6 million. We got $397,598. And guess what the minister said? Well, at least we get something. Didn't he say that? At least we get something. Okay. All I know is that they had some scheme called the pineapple scheme, whatever it is. This looked like this was even more vexing than what that complaint was out there.
During the budget debate, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis revealed that following Hurricane Matthew, the Bahamas would have received a payout amounting to about $32 million, which would have been the single largest payout to a country from SEPT. The policy was cancelled by the former Christie administration. Minnis promised to table the document supporting his claim, but that has yet to happen. Well, the Interception of Communication Bill 2017 and the National Intelligence Agency Bill 2017 have been tabled in the House of Assembly. The ICB, commonly referred to as the Spy Bill, provides for the interception of all communications networks, regardless of whether they are licensed as public or not. That includes public telecommunication operators and internet providers. It further provides for the use of certain devices for listening to private conversations. Minister of State for Legal Affairs Ellsworth Johnson tabled the bills in Parliament yesterday.
The Interception of Communications Bill. Mr. Speaker, when I was in another place as Bar President, I was vociferous in my commentary on the introduction of this bill without first having open and honest public discourse on this bill. And I'm happy today that my leader and my party has now presented this bill with some alterations, hoping that at the end of the day, members of the public will have an opportunity to review this bill.
Meanwhile, the National Intelligence Agency Bill proposes to establish an agency of the government that would be responsible for gathering intelligence that impacts national security. According to the bill, the agency would be under the control of the director, a position appointed by the Governor General acting on the advice of the Prime Minister.
We had an agency being run without legislation, and that was the National Intelligence Agency. And this government has undertaken to abide by the law and by the rule of law. And so in keeping with that precept, we brought this bill here today.
Still to come on our news, why the Water and Sewage Chairman says he is disappointed in Allison Maynard Gibson's comments on special lists. Stay with us.